Kirk is a recent graduate from the University of Colorado, Denver, where he received a Bachelor of Arts degrees in film, theater, and television production, and an emphasis in philosophy, as we would expect. He is now in his third year studying philosophy and objectivism at the Objectivist Academic Center through the Ayn Rand Institute. He's also an accomplished two-year member of the local Liberty Toastmasters Club, which I've also been a part of, and which Brad started. Yeah, several of us here are involved in this club, so we've had a great opportunity to see Kirk develop from his early speeches to his more confident later speeches. Early Barbera or something like that. The same is definitely true of myself. Kirk leaves for California this Thursday, where he will begin a new job at the Ayn Rand Institute as their Student Relations Coordinator for their Education Department. Kirk wanted me to note that the views and opinions in this talk do not necessarily express or reflect the views or opinions of anyone else, including his future employer. Kirk's talk on the Fountainhead discusses a crucial idea flowing through the Fountainhead, and indeed through all of Ayn Rand's novels, the benevolent universe premise. Kirk will discuss that premise, what it means, and why it is important to you. So please welcome my friend, Kirk Barbera.
Can everybody hear me? Trying to. All right, in the back. Thank you. What is it that allows one man to succeed and another man from an identical background to fail or languish in a puddle of mediocrity? What is it that allows one man to succeed and another man to fail, from a similar background, to fail or languish in a puddle of mediocrity? This is the question that I asked myself at the age of 16. And it is one that I continually ask, and one that I will continue to ask to the end of my days. And today, I would like to share with you a few of my thoughts on this topic up to this point in my life. Now, have any of you ever heard any of the following expressions? The world is a depraved place filled with eyesores. Happiness is succor to your noble brethren. Life on earth is unimportant. It's the hereafter which one should focus on. Man is impotent to the awesome power of Mother Nature. These expressions reveal a malevolent universe premise, a view that success, values, achievements are not possible to man here on earth. Man is doomed to rot and fail. His place is on his knees to an awesome power he cannot comprehend. His only hope is in receiving special favor from whoever might be in charge. Now, have you heard the following quote from a famous song? One of my favorite songs. If I had it in my power, I'd arrange for every girl to have your charms. Then, every minute, every hour, every boy would have what I found in your arms. Does anybody know where that's from? Any guesses? No? Good? It's Dean Martin's Everybody Loves Somebody Sometimes. If I had it in my power, I'd arrange for every girl to have your charms. Then, every minute, every hour, every boy would find what I found in your arms. Or how about the now cliche scene in a movie where the man sleeps with the woman of his dreams, and then the next morning he's jauntily trotting down the street, kissing old ladies, hugging everyone he sees, high-fiving everybody, buying laurels for little girls, throwing flowers, singing, dancing. These expressions reveal a benevolent universe premise, a view that success, values, achievements are possible to man. In the Dean Martin example, for instance, Dean Martin, he is in love, and what does he wish? That every man may have and feel what he is having and what he feels. These are the outward manifestations of the inner feeling of benevolence. Now, the malevolence in relation to the universe, the malevolent universe premise, implies a hopelessness in man's plight. Because of a deeply ingrained view that this earth is nasty, evil, and man is incapable of coping. Now, the benevolent universe premise is not, as Ayn Rand has often said, is not that the universe smiles upon you. It's not that the universe is not a man who desires to arrange for every girl to have your charms. That's not the universe. The universe is neutral. On the broadest level, however, to see the universe as benevolent is to see yourself as a man, as capable, as able to control and pilot the ship of your own life in this world. It means having the knowledge to see yourself in 10, 20, 30 years having accomplished your goals. It means knowing that your mind has the power to not only project a vision of your goals, of your career, your love life, and even your physical body, but to bring those goals, those visions into reality. So I'd like to quote Ayn Rand in what she said on the benevolent universe premise. There is a fundamental conviction which some people never acquire. Some hold only in their youth, and a few hold to the end of their days. The conviction that ideas matter. That ideas matter means that knowledge matters, that truth matters, that one's mind matters. Its consequence is the inability to believe in the power or the triumph of evil. No matter what condition one observes in one's immediate background, one is unable to accept it as normal, permanent, or metaphysically right. One feels this injustice, or terror, or falsehood, or frustration, or pain, or agony is the exception in life, not the rule. One feels certain that somewhere on earth, even if not anywhere in one's surroundings or within one's reach, a proper human way of life is possible to human beings, and that justice matters. So, the purpose of an idea, such as the benevolent universe premise, is actually to orient yourself to the fact that in order to conquer reality, you must obey it, including the reality of one's nature, including the reality of man's nature. So for example, again, the benevolent universe premise does not mean that the universe smiles on you. It does not mean that the universe likes you. The universe is what it is. It just is. The universe is not conscious. You are. You are the entity which requires a view of your ability to succeed or fail. You are the entity which requires a view of your ability to succeed or fail. So, what is it that allows one man to succeed and another man from an identical background to fail or languish in a puddle of mediocrity? I say one of the largest factors is this universal premise. One of the largest factors. Now, of course, a man's particular talents, his particular body, his particular specific mind do matter. However, if a man never truly believes success is actually possible, then he will not ever start to do the things necessary to achieve his goals, to do what is necessary to accomplish what is possible for his success. So an example that I like to give is, imagine you're at work and your boss, who's prone to flights of fancy, puts a project on your desk and he says, do this. And you roll your eyes. And you're like, this is ridiculous. It's just another one of my boss's crazy ideas that popped into his head. Now, you never believed that project is achievable, that you can do anything with it. So how successful is that project going to be? Probably not very successful. You'll never think, what goals are necessary to make this project happen? What ends do I need to accomplish, and what means do I have to do to bring those ends about? What personnel do I need? What's my product? You won't think about any of those things because you think it's a stupid idea. You don't think it has any chance of success. As a matter of fact, I would say a large portion of what a leader does is inspires the people within their organization that what they are doing is possible, that they can accomplish something, that it can be achieved. Otherwise, they can never work all those years, all those months without anything until they get that final product. That's, I think, what a large part of what a leader does. So, for example, I think the major difference between Steve Jobs and the majority of people is this universal premise. Steve Jobs was a genius, but he wasn't born one. If he was born one, he would have invented the iPhone when he was born, but he didn't. He made himself a genius. And as a matter of fact, watch that commemoration speech where he received his PhD or honorary PhD. Steve Jobs knew at a really young age that success and achievement and values were possible, that he could achieve it despite whatever setbacks he might have, despite wherever he came from. So I'd like to quote really quickly Ayn Rand in conjunction with her art, and what she was talking about is man's character. And she said man's character is the product of his premises. I had to define and present the kinds of premises and values that create the character of an ideal man and that motivate his actions. Now, Ayn Rand's first projection of an ideal man was Howard Rourke. And just to give you a little taste of what Howard Rourke and how he became, or how Ayn Rand drew him from the premises, and one of the major premises is the benevolent universe premise. And I'm just going to quote real quick from the beginning of the Fountainhead. Howard Rourke laughed. He laughed at the thing which had happened to him that morning and at the things which now lay ahead. He knew that the days would be difficult. There were questions to be faced and a plan of action to be prepared. In order to achieve success, happiness, and a complete serenity on this earth, you must look at the world as Rourke does. Rourke, for example, struggles through most of the novel to build the buildings that he desires. No one gives it to him. They almost all oppose him. Rourke, however, laughs at many of the instances of evil done to him. For example, toward the end of the novel, Rourke finally receives a fantastic commission to build a resort in Monadnock Valley. Now, Rourke has a very unique vision on how this resort should be built. Rourke believes that the types of customers he's going to attract want privacy. They want a place to relax away from people, which is completely contrary to what everyone believes is necessary for a successful resort. Howard Rourke, however, for some inexplicable reason he doesn't know, receives the resort and he can build it his way. And he does. However, he does, and despite the criticism, Howard Rourke builds the resort and it becomes so successful that each unit is booked a year in advance. However, soon thereafter, Stephen Mallory, who is Howard Rourke's friend, comes to tell Howard Rourke why he received the commission, why Howard Rourke was chosen as the architect from the people who own the resort. I'm going to read it real quick from just a little snippet of Stephen Mallory telling Howard Rourke why he received it. It was a huge fraud. They sold 200% of the place. They got twice what it cost them. They were certain it would fail. They wanted it to fail. They expected no profits to distribute. They had a nice scheme ready for how to get out of it when the place went bankrupt. They were prepared for anything, except for seeing it turn into the kind of success it is. And they couldn't go on, because now they'd have to pay their backers twice the amount they'd earned each year. And it's earning plenty. Howard, don't you understand? They chose you as the worst architect they could find. Howard threw his head back and laughed. Now, Stephen Mallory goes on to rant against the evils of society. If you know the character, you know he does that a lot. And he rants against the roots of evil and everything that's wrong with society. When he's done, Howard asks him this: when will you stop thinking about that? About the world and me? When will you learn to forget it? Rourke's view manifests itself in the view, his view that success is possible, manifests itself in the view that evil is impotent. That the only power you can give to evil is to sanction or to acknowledge and fear it. So, going back to me, when I was 16 years old, I wanted to know what future was possible to me. And at 17, luckily I read The Fountainhead. I quickly laid out a plan for my entire life. And one of my major goals was to become a motivational speaker. Now, in a minute I'll talk about how my goals have changed, but I think you'll notice that my goals, while they've been tweaked and broadened and expanded and changed a little bit, essentially I think they're really similar to when I was 16, 17 years old. Now, The Fountainhead, the character of Howard Rourke, gave me the necessary fuel at an age when I desperately needed to know that I could achieve my values and the life that I wanted. The Fountainhead is a book which projects the malevolent and benevolent universe premise in such a stark, lucid, resonating fashion that you are instantly and continually struck by Howard Rourke's forward movement and Peter Keating's failure, as well as Stephen Mallory's languishing misery through most of the novel, and Dominique's destructive attitude. To invigorate your life, to succeed in the long range, the benevolent view of the universe is vital. So if, like most of us, you have some elements of the malevolent universe premise, check your premises. And like the quote on almost every gym, the motto for most gyms, showing up is half the battle. Right? Once you committed to checking your premises, to questioning your views, to thinking about what goals are possible to you given your particular talents and desires, once you've started, then you can begin to achieve the values possible to you. So I'll use myself as the final example in this realm. Many of you know I've taken writing very seriously over the past 6 years. And in fact, some of you have read some of my writing over the 6 years, will notice that my writing has improved dramatically. But I am far from where I want to be. I'm far from what I think is the best that I can do. As a matter of fact, this speech is based on an essay I wrote for the Ayn Rand Institute's former participants contest. And I won third place. Third. Now I've entered numerous essay contests. And I've never won anything. And I even entered one after this, and I never won. Never. However, not once have I questioned my ability to develop a writing talent. To develop and to write the way I want. And in regard to fiction, my true passion, which I've kept primarily a secret for my own development purposes, I've improved week by week after writing screenplays, numerous screenplays, scenarios, short plays, feature-length plays, lots of different things, short stories. I've improved week by week, and I know, as Howard Rourke knows, that any worthy endeavor, any worthy value is a lifelong pursuit. It's not a one-time achievement. And I know, as Rourke knows, that success is possible, not inevitable. You have to make it happen. All of this, The Fountainhead gave to me at 17. And all of this, the donors to the Books to Teachers program are giving to young students all across Colorado and America. Now, it's true that not every single student who gets The Fountainhead is going to do what I did, of course. But to the degree that they do, and to the degree that many of them do take it, you are changing the world. You really are. And I implore you to continue your efforts. Okay, so in conclusion, I do want to say a last word since this is my farewell speech. I want to say a last little quick word about my future and all of you. as many of you know, as we talked, as Ari said, I am beginning an exciting new job at the Ayn Rand Institute in a week from today. And I'll be their student relations coordinator for their education department. And I just want to say a word on my goals. And I know that my goals of motivating, inspiring, and showing people how to live better, more purposeful, happier lives will flourish at the Ayn Rand Institute. There, I will work with individuals that I admire in the business of changing the culture. And of course, I will never stop writing. I will never stop writing. Writing is the spine of my life. But I want to say a real quick word on great thinkers and writers of the past who have worked with organizations in the business of changing the culture before, during, and even after their major writing career. Fyodor Dostoevsky, for example, worked in the intellectual group, the Petroshevsky Circle, in trying to create social change in Russia. Leo Tolstoy did similar things. Victor Hugo worked vehemently to shape French culture, and he even developed or organized groups to speak out for freedom of press and self-governance until he was exiled, of course. Hopefully that won't happen to me. Ayn Rand, of course, herself also worked toward a better future. So this is my goal. This is my central purpose, if you will, or my overarching goals in life, and that is to help shape America's future, America's culture, through art and intellectual activism. To help shape America's culture through art and intellectual activism. And much of what I've learned in this last, intellectual activism, I've learned from many of you. So I'd like to close with a story from Victor Hugo. A story which I think encapsulates how I feel about all of you and how I hope some of you feel about me. And it's from Victor Hugo's most famous novel, Les Miserables. At the beginning of the novel, Victor Hugo is drawing the character of the Bishop of Digne, Monsieur Myriel. And I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher French accent. I'm not French. I'm just doing my best here. And Monsieur Myriel is the catalyst, the major catalyst to reforming the very embittered ex-convict, the protagonist, Jean Valjean. It is Myriel's convictions, his steadfastness, and yes, his altruism. Also his belief in a man's ability to reform, which gives Jean Valjean the initial strength necessary to change the course of his soul. This is the character, Monsieur Myriel. The first 2 or 3 pages of the novel are dedicated to rumors about how Monsieur Myriel became Bishop of Digne. Before he was bishop, he was a priest in a small-town parish, a small-town church. And one day he was in Paris on business for his church. He was there to see Cardinal Fesch. Now, the cardinal had a nephew. That nephew was the Emperor Napoleon. Napoleon was there also to see his uncle, the cardinal. Noticing that Myriel looked at him with a certain curiosity, Napoleon turned around and said brusquely, "Who is this good man looking at me?" "Sire," replied Monsieur Myriel, soon to be Bishop of Digne, "you are looking at a good man, and I at a great one. May we both be the better for it." My fellow Coloradans, my friends, whatever side of that equation I happen to fall on, and with each of you, may we both be the better. Thank you.
Well, those who fight for the future live in it today, and I think Kirk is a man of the future. If you want, we can do questions for 10 minutes or so, and then break if you need to leave, or if you want to order coffee and dessert, then that would be a good time for that. Is that okay with everyone? So, yeah, let's do a few minutes of questions then, if anybody has questions.
If anybody has one.
I want to feel silly if you don't have any.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Kirk, I think you said something when you were reading the Fountainhead about Howard Worth asking Mallory, when are you going to stop?
Yeah, when will you learn to forget it?
To forget.
When will you stop thinking about that?
And what was he speaking about at that time?
Oh, Stephen Mallory rants about evil of society. As a matter of fact, he shoots at it sometimes. And if you know the Fountainhead, he'll go off and shoot it, or try to. And but he is obsessed with the evils of society. And Howard Roark is telling him, when will you stop focusing on that? When will you stop thinking about that? Because there are a lot of miserable things that a person has when all they focus on is the evil. And so I think an important thing to remember is that the benevolent universe premise does not mean that bad things do not happen. That's not what as a matter of fact, the quote that I read from Ayn Rand, the longer quotes about fundamental convictions and ideas matter, is from her essay, The Inexplicable, how does that go?
Inexplicable Personality.
Thank you, yeah, it's a little and she's talking about Russia and the evil things that are happening there, but how some individuals can hold on to that vision that somewhere on earth there's a place where values are possible, that this is not what life is. Even if it means my death, this is not what life is. And I think that's a view that is really important for all of us to think about more often. And it really was, I didn't think about that benevolent universe premise when I was 16, but I did seriously think when I was 16 about, what can I do with my life? What am I actually going to do? I was desperately wanting to know what type of thing I could do and what I could achieve. And the Fountainhead really, really helped. So yeah. That's it. Anything else? Yeah, Brett.
Kirk, I love when people have big, hairy, audacious goals, like changing the world.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
In your new endeavor, what can we do to help you?
Oh, wow. I think one of the reasons I wanted to give this speech is that you already are. Like, what you're doing is helping a lot. And I really wanted to stress, and I was hoping you would, without pointing it out, see that, not everyone that you donate a book to when they're 17 is going to turn out like me. I didn't want to put it like that. But to the degree that they do, you are making a difference. And I do think that this is an amazing program. And I think one of the things that will change the course of the culture is this program. I really think this is one of the fundamental things that can change it, because I'm a big believer, and I think everyone here is too, a big believer of getting these young kids, these 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, to at least question what their parents are telling them, to at least question what they're hearing in church, to have another view. Because they don't get another view, and most kids fundamentally they don't get other views, and so it's really important to continue doing what you're doing. And I wanted to give this because this is 10 years after, or 9, 10 years after I read The Fountainhead. So you're not going to see it happen right away. So you have to understand, it could be 10 years before someone else gives a speech like this or whatever. It could be 10 years before stuff like that happens. But it's worth it. You have to look to the future. You can't just think about, okay, I put this much money for it, and I'm not getting anything out of it. Yeah, that's the thing about changing the culture, is it takes a long time. And you guys are doing it. And I admire what you guys are doing. I'm very proud to have been a part of FRO and all the things that I did with the campus club, which you guys really helped a lot with. This is a great, great organization. It really is. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you guys, and say goodbye before I leave.